Simple fruit is the development from single ovary. In simple fruit, we are going to read about dry fruit, under which we are going to study about dry dehiscent, dry indehiscent and dry schizocarpic fruit. Dry dehiscent, first one is legume. In legume, the example is pea pod, ventral suture and dorsal suture. From these two sutures, the dehiscence or the rupture takes place. Suture is the first line of weakness along which dehiscence occur. Follicle. Rupturing is from only one suture, and that is ventral suture. Example, larkspur. Siliqua. It is seen in Brassicaceae family, which is the example of which includes mustard. Outer wall of the ovary breaks and separated when it reaches the maturity, or when it ripens. The false septum called rubellum swells. Next is capsule, which includes poricidal. In poricidal, what happens is, it is the example of poppy plant. Fruit of poppy show dehiscence by formation of pores, and from these pores the seeds fall off. Next is loculicidal, found in ladyfinger and cotton. In this loculicidal capsule, longitudinal lines of dehiscence are present, and dehiscence occurs from the dorsal suture. Next is transverse capsule. Example, Celosia cristata. In this, the top of capsule comes out at dehiscence. It gives a structure like a lid, and the seeds fall off. As you can see in the diagram that the lid is opening, lid-like structure is opening, dehiscence is taking place. Next, moving to our dry indehiscent fruit. Dry, which means not juicy. Dehiscent, indehiscent. In indehiscent, it do not rupture to release seed, whereas in dehiscent, it ruptures to release seed. First one is caryopsis. Example are the grains like maize, rice, etc. In this, pericarp, which includes epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp, fuses with the seed coat. So when they are fused, it is not easy to separate them. Next is achene. Pericarp and seed coat are not fused, so these layers can be easily separated. Example, Mirabilis jalapa, Cypsela. In this, an additional structure is formed called pappus. It is a hairy tuft-like structure. Pappus is a modified calyx or sepals. So this Cypsela fruit is generated from bicarpellary, which means two carpels which are fused, syncarpus, and inferior ovary. It is generated from these things. And moving next, example is Cypsela. Moving next to Samara. It is also known as winged achene. Pericarp looks like wings which is stretched. Example, Shoria. Wing-like structure of Samara help it to carry the wing seeds further. Next is nut. Pericarp is hard. Example, cashew nut, lychee and trapa. In cashew nut, the pericarp is hard plus dry. In lychee and trapa, the pericarp is hard. While when we open lychee or trapa, we see that the inside of it is soft. Now, see in the above diagram, you will be able to understand the concepts. Next, moving to schizocarpic fruits. In this, larger fruit breaks into smaller parts. So, when the larger fruit breaks first into a smaller part, and that part is not dehisced or it does not break into further parts, then it is called as mericarp. And if it undergo dehiscence, then it is called as cocci. Lumentum, cremocarp, caecerulus, compound samara. In these all we see mericarp, or we are able to get mericarp, but in regma we see that we obtain two cocci. So in Momentum, the example is groundnut, tamarind, in which when the larger one dehisces, we get smaller structure and which is occupied by seed and which do not dehisce. Chemocarp. In chemocarp, example is coriander and cumin. When we receive 2 mericarp and it dehisces from a suture and we get 2 mericarp. K. cerulus, we get more than 2 mericarp. Example, salvia. We observe or we get 3 mericarp in K. cerulus. Compound samara. In compound samara, we get a winged mericarp. Example, maple. Regma, which breaks into 2 cocci. Example, castor. Observe the above diagram very carefully. You can see lumentum, chemocarp, samara. So, by understanding the concepts, you will be able to understand how the things work. Thank you for watching my video. Do like and subscribe to the channel.